feel like otherwise.
May and Winston ability update. What the fuck did you do to May?
They would kind of struggle because, but the way they're
That's
designed right
normal.
now, I feel like they weren't really, you know, made to be.
You have alternate
solo,
fire.
If that makes sense.
Imagine getting sniped in the air by Winston.
Proper changes, then I think.
Overwatch has always been played with 2 teams of 6 players.
Don't tell me changing
Overwatch
numbers.
2 will be played with 2 teams of 5 players.
Wait.
Consisting of 2 support, 2 DPS,
and 1 tank.
1 tank.
1 tank.
Right. I was gonna. I mean, my next question was gonna
1
be, okay,
tank.
Is role queue still a
What are
thing?
you trying to do?
We still have
Abuse the
breakdown
tank
across
now.
the board. It's not completely
If you said
open.
1
So
DPS,
tank, 2
understandable.
DPS, 2
1
supports.
tank.
What led you guys?
Now you're
down
forced
the
to
road
always
make
play
this
main
change?
tank. There's no such thing as off
There are
tank.
a lot of reasons for why we wanted to make this
There is
change.
no longer such thing as
I
off
said
tank.
earlier,
It's basically all
Overwatch
main
has-
tank at
has
this point.
changed
You can't go
over
off tank, but the whole team has to go dive then.
We've gone from having no hero limits at all in the game before launch. You could pick
To now,
6
like,
Winston's
limiting
if you
people
wanted
to
for
roles.
your
Now they
team
have like
composition.
roles.
To having a hero limit, we ended up introducing a role
Roll,
lock over the course of the game. And we feel
Bruh,
like
Ryan
this is
mains,
the next
like you got buffed
step
up, but now you're
in
just
the
like
way
the
that
main
Overwatch
guy.
ought to be
You're
played.
forced to
If you
either be
think about it,
aggressive or not be
there
aggressive.
is a lot going on in an Overwatch map. It is incredibly fast-paced, and we have always tried to make our combat easy to read and very understandable. And even
Reaper's
with
gonna
all
have
of
a
the work that we
field
put
day,
into
man.
that,
1 tank.
sometimes it's just hard to track what 11 other players are doing on the battlefield. Removing 2 of those simplifies everything, and it allows
wasn't that
players
hard.
to understand everything that's happening around them and to be able to make better choices.
It wasn't. Yeah,
because
someone's
of
like F. Yeah, it's an F.
this
6v6
change
was
obviously has a really
okay.
big impact
If 1
on
tank was
tanks.
getting dived, the other one
And
could
we will get
assist. Now it's
into
just a
some of the
single
changes
tank.
that-
You just
that we're
destroy that
making to
tank, and then
tanks
it's just
and to some of
squishies
the
left.
some of the other roles in a bit. But
Oh god, DPS are
can
gonna have
be
a field day.
problematic. They're a DPS hero is simple. They're shooting. But a tank has abilities that can be noisy, or when stacked with other tanks, can cause problems for other teams to.
It's not
to
that
try to,
hard.
to try to overcome and counter. Like, and a great example of that is 2 main tanks on the field. Sometimes that can be very oppressive. To
Yeah, I
another
know,
team.
but it's not that hard. Just get good.
I think with 5
What is
with
this?
5 players out there is a greater chance of certain people being able to carry. Whether that's the tank on the team.
That's
or some of
always
the
been about
DPS,
skill.
There's just 1 less player on the other team that you need to take care of, and each player now has the opportunity to have
Yeah,
a larger
there's meta heroes,
individual
but you
impact
can still
on
beat
their own
it.
Team. And we've tried a lot of.
It isn't the heroes. It's sometimes the maps are
internally,
annoying.
We've tried 4v4 format.
Like 2CP, that
We've
was the whole
tried,
issue. 2CP.
3
That's why you got rid of it.
DPS, 2 support, 1 tank format. We even early on in Overwatch development.
Why did they do
we
this?
tried a 7v7 format of the game. We
7v7
always had some problems with
What,
them.
3
And This is
DPS?
the sort of thing that our lead hero designer Jeff Goodman has really run with, and I think he probably has a little more he can say about it.
Yeah, you forgot about the 4 DPS, 1 tank, 1 healer we ran one time. That was
4
that was
DPS.
literally 1 playtest, and it was
That
like
was 1
and then-
playtest, and we swore we would never do it again.
almost cut out in the middle of that playtest.
Never to be,
Wait,
never to be
wait.
spoken about again.
We've seen 4
Jeff, I
tactical
assume
DPS,
that,
1 tank, and 1
obviously,
support.
you know,
It's
changes to the
happened
tank
in
role, but I
the
assume
old
there will be
comp.
kind of like
Old comp, that's
holistic
exactly what
changes
happened
overall,
in the
right?
old
I think
comp.
just changing the tanks, you probably
That was
need to
stuff people
rework
ran,
some
and
of
we
those
saw what
stuff.
happened against those kind of comps.
This is gonna change.
Someone just said it right there, I can't play with my tank friend no more. 2 tanks, people who play together, can no longer play together. It's just a single tank, meaning you're forced to either play something else in order to play together. Either support or DPS.
Tons of neat details and fun Easter eggs for the players to find. So I think
Bro, DPS people had to
It
like
should be fun to
wait
take
in
a look at
queues for
this.
ages to find a game or during
Yeah, no,
groups.
when
Tank
you
players
guys
now
showed
have
this
to
at,
wait
BlizzCon
wait in
Live, I was
queues
so
because
excited,
they can't go
obviously,
together.
from New York,
It's just 1 tank per
myself
game.
Would love to see the Midtown Tunnel.
Them new
core
maps
or
look
some of
nice,
the
but show me
adjustments
some
that you guys
gameplay.
have made to it here in Overwatch.
And there's just less damage incoming. And so you're
Oh
able
damn,
to
they
kind of
changed
move
they
around
changed
a little
Discord
bit
how it
more.
looks.
And you'll see it here a lot of times. The
Oh, no.
chokes aren't as
Get the
hard
fuck
of a
back.
space to get through.
You are
There's
not
still a
fighting
choke
that
in the map,
Reaper.
and you still have to work at it. but there can be a lot more like pushing through and pulling back on the choke, and it's something that I'm like.
Oh yeah, that's we didn't even think about that. What about Overwatch teams? They no longer have like they offer what you call it, their second tank player. Their second tank player is useless now.
What you guys are able to do, create different.
What the hell are they gonna do then?
Speaking about like players.
Overwatch teams have to change now.
Right?
They can't be
creating more flanking
groups of like they can't have like teams of 6 anymore. There's teams of 5.
Get a pick and open things up.
I mean, these guys have to be like bench warmers now.
There's a lot more opportunity for players to do that, but at the same time, when you go for a flank, you're not.
Oh, that ruins the whole Overwatch league.
4 players behind, and so.
Oh, don't fight! He's fully held. You dumbass.
Decisions in your head. The game is.
It just feels now with the 5v5, players will take advantage of that more. You know, even the previous maps we planned cover.
Flankers are gonna have a field day then.
Now with 5v5, they're even more effective. These artistic choices.
It's such a great point too, because we have started placing a little bit more cover in our maps. And if you go back to some of the old maps, like if you look at King's Row, that middle section, that street section of King's Row, there's one piece of cover in that entire section. Yes. It's just corners of buildings is what you're using.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think you can kind of see it here, even with stuff like that. I know the taxis here in the streets. You have the little kind of windows. The
map's nice. I just don't think the whole 5v5 situation is going to be nice.
Angles you can take. Something we saw at BlizzCon Line was the 2 fire strike charge.
That is massive for Ryan, man.
I noticed something before, Jeff, when we were on with Winston. My Winston Live not able to shoot at range.
They're doing 5v5s. They've gotten rid of 6v6. You only get 1 tank, 2 DPS, and 2 supports.
Some of the tank changes we're talking about.
You can. There's no such thing as duoing as tanks anymore. It's gone.
A lot more aggressive, be able to be a little more hybridy on the damage
side
and less just raw protection.
Which is stupid. Now you can't play with your tank friends anymore.
He's ulting right now, unfortunately. You can't see it, but you can't do it while he's ulting. But his
what are they going to do about Overwatch League? These teams have the 2 tanks in their teams. Now they get rid of them. You're going to have one and 1 bench warmer. They're gonna have more plays on the bench because of this.
So he actually, the charge up is kind of interesting with it for him because you could do it while you're leaping, and so there's like theoretically more burst combos you can do where you're jumping on top of somebody, charging up in the air.
Bro, Reaper's gonna have a field day. Like they're giving Reaper so much power now. 1 tank to kill. Plus they changed the whole map to add more cover, so you don't need main tanks as much.
So have to be able to survive that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the decisions.
Giving flankers more time to actually sneak up on you.
I've jumped on this player, I've gotten them weak. I can either now get out of my bubble and try to finish them off, or just kind of hope a teammate does. But now giving him, I think it kind of goes back to more like that player, agency that you were talking about, being able to kind of take over the game, being able to finish it off. This nano boosted Ryan. This will never get old.
Yes, update.
Just seeing their.
This is gameplay for the 5v5.
Just swing in. I'm sure it makes the fans out there happy that I know that was a Dragon Blade ulting Genji he was able to take out. It's kind of the bane of existence of a lot
Insane
of
blade.
But this looks like, I guess, the second checkpoint, right? So
no, it is. That's how the modes are forever, for every game. It's 5. It's literally just 5 players.
Still going to be a thing.
So
no, it's gone.
Kind of goes inside of the station.
PvE is 5v5.
Kind of curves around, I guess.
There's no 6v6. 6v6 is gone, my dude.
Have fun give them some more aggression and be a little more Roadhog and Diva. And so we definitely opted for that latter route after playing, because it's like, not only is it just more fun to have that kind of extra speed and aggression, but a lot of what people had a lot of comments on in the past, when the metas get too full of barriers and shields, and honestly even sometimes when there's just the one Orisa blocking you with just the chain shields, and it's just like, people had comments like, I just feel like I'm shooting shields all the time, like we were definitely hearing all that, and you could see some of the balance changes we made in the past in the live game. They've been trying to address this, but once we got into this situation, we're like, this is sort of an opportunity actually here to reduce a lot of these effects, and we still want them to be there and present and be important, and you can still block huge abilities. They still have a decent amount of health, but less than they had before. But then in response to that, we can see Reinhardt here. He hit the wall right there. He didn't cancel it, but you can cancel your charge, and you can get two fire strikes. So the canceling charge is one of those like sneaky things that seems like to some people might be kind of a minor change, but it almost like completely changes how he plays a lot of ways. It's actually really fun because you can, it has a really fast recovery when you cancel, so you can like charge up to a group and then cancel and immediately ult and just like knock everyone down. So the fact that you can even do that is its own now like sort of mini game that people play where you can kind of bluff with it. If people know you have your ult, you can have it or you save it or something. So, and it also just allows him to, you know, get in there and be more aggressive without sacrificing his health bar.
Yeah, it just sounds like another change, almost like how you kind of mentioned like stuff like that Winston combo, kind of, you know, as you're playing and testing and seeing all these different things, like yeah, where the Winston combo, you can, you know, load up that secondary fire, come to, like
it's so hard on a tank that
time's up.
Like Discord orb on him, it's just hard to kill him.
F you spent
so
2.4k of your channel points
like
just to mute me for 5 minutes.
Is entirely yet, especially because we're changing things all the time. I guess it's pretty hard for them to settle. But,
yeah,
it's been a lot
Right,
of
they just made support jobs even easier.
UI is,
they can just dump all their heals into their tank.
Really
Their one tank.
This is something obviously that's
the DPS can keep themselves alive as long as they like position themselves well and play heroes that can actually have more survivability.
I was saying we're generally looking at anywhere we can improve hero-specific UI stuff like this, and we felt like this could use, you know, a big update and be a lot more readable.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm most excited about with the healer UI is it's not just on Zen, but it's on Mercy also. You see the portrait of the player that you're healing. And so it's just a lot easier to kind of figure out who you've got instead of just using something like a nameplate, you know.
Yeah, and it's not off to the side, right? It's like center screen, so you're able to still kind of focus down the middle. Oh yeah.
Wait, wait, is it 2 bubbles for you? It's 2 bubbles for your teammate and 2 bubbles for you.
Yeah, so
no,
like,
that's too much.
Just kind of recently put in.
That is too much.
At the back of the.
Oh, that is way too much. No, this is abuse. They've really effed with the tanks now.
I'm concerned about it in some cases, but it also leads to some really awesome plays. So
nah,
kind of letting it rock for a while.
Nah, please, no.
Work in progress. But
oh
yeah,
no,
I like the progress on that.
4 bubbles in total. 2 for yourself and 2 for teammates.
How does the rule here work? I guess do they have to push all the way to the end, or do they just have to beat the time of the blue team?
They just need to beat the time of the blue team. So
what is that scatter ability? He can shoot Tesla cannons.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, that's a problem.
That's a big one. He's dead though.
I imagine these games go right down to the wire.
They gave Zarya 4 bubbles. They gave Ryan 2 charge and cancel charge. They gave Winston bloody shooting electricity now.
I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed watching that.
What did he do with Roadhog?
Stylus, I think
what was D.Va? I think D.Va is still the same. They haven't changed anything about D.Va.
5v5 or 6-on-6, you're like...
I feel like otherwise...
May and Winston ability update. What the fuck did you do to May?
They would kind of struggle because the way they're
designed
right now, I feel like they weren't really... you know, made to be.
You have alternate
solo,
fire.
If that makes sense.
Imagine getting sniped in the air by Winston.
Changes, then I think it could actually.
Imagine getting sniped in the air by Winston.
Absolutely. You saw there as
you
well.
Thought you could escape my decision. You could escape me.
Maze we haven't really talked about, and it's definitely part of a
role.
Yeah, supports finally have the ability to self heal without using abilities
related to their role. So in this case, you can see
DPS are faster.
Tanks have a couple things associated with them. One is they're reduced. They get knockback reduction on them, so you can't knock them around quite so easily, which thematically makes sense too. But if you're a tank player, you're playing against, you know,
Lucio
and you know whoever else, it can be really infuriating.
Oh, it's not back that they go
flying around all the time, not being able to control your character as well. So that's one of the things they get. And
they get
heard about tanks, especially tanks like Roadhog who don't have a barrier, is
I like how they put Overwatch 2 when we clearly tell it's Overwatch 2 with the engines redesigned.
Trying to be aggressive, which is what we're trying to incentivize. That, you know, come in, maybe you cancel charge and try to get hammer swings in there to build your ult, but like, was that a worthwhile trade-off if the enemy shot you so much that they built more ult than you did? So what we've done is shooting an enemy tank generates less ult for you, so your enemies get less ult for shooting you. Across the board.
Oh, okay, then Hog no longer feeds anymore.
Obviously, the values were. So
wait, if Lucy has the passive of just healing,
sort of extra regeneration bonuses. But
wait, if all the heals have passive healing, then does that mean that it can stack with Lucian's actual heals, or does that no longer heal him? Do you just cancel that out?
You kind of snuck past us here some footage of May. So
yeah.
May, what the fuck did you do to May?
It's been changed pretty drastically, at least in terms of how she operates.
Explain.
So this is actually the kind of tip of the iceberg, and some changes I can talk about. But May was the first one we sort of checked into the build.
So no more freeze. It just does damage now.
If you notice here, she doesn't actually fully freeze the enemy here at all. She still slows them, but she doesn't never stun all the way.
Thank God.
The compensation, of course, is does a lot more damage. So it's it's really scary to be getting
none of that
taking damage and you're slowed. But of course, there's a lot of ways.
What
to
about
you can have help
so anything that freezes
never
now?
actually get in that lockdown state and be like, okay, well, here's the freeze.
Oh, does it just do damage as well?
So, and for her, it's really interesting too because she still has, at least right now, she still has that sort of cleave effect, the piercing that can hit multiple targets. So, and you're doing so much damage now. If you can, it's kind of fun to play this game and try to get all this extra damage because you could straight up just kill people now by piercing through tank or. Certainly if Zarya's ulting or something like that.
Right, Symmetra. Symmetra's useless.
So it's kind of an interesting.
This is funny as hell.
Back and forth with her secondary fire as well.
I'm like, I have so many ideas.
There's a lot of fun stuff in store.
It's basically Team Fortress. You can have like different weapons. You can change your basically weapons, and different weapons do different things. It changes the way the weapon actually works. Hey, Torbjorn!
So
ooh, I like the glasses. The glasses look nice on this man.
A little older. He has a bit better.
Oh, his arms have been getting better. He's been in the gym.
Yeah, he's the Torbjorn we all know and love. He's just advanced. He has a cool.
Very cool.
Anyone else?
You can see the hair shader really well on his beard.
But like, imagine that, but with like his summer skin like weapon.
Right.
Like,
you mean the inflatable hammer?
Like, that's the kind of stuff I want to see at some point. Like.
Yeah, and I echo the same thing. We have a pretty incredible team working on the
They've
game.
been doing it. This is a 2-hour stream of them just explaining
production.
Everything was explained at the beginning, and then afterwards it was just like sprinkles, just long as nothingness, sprinkle of information, long as nothingness, sprinkle of information. All the information was mainly in the beginning. In the first hour, they explained the crap. Afterwards, it was just long ass nothing. But gameplay. The gameplay doesn't change anything. It's just showing us. If you wanted to show us the map, you could just show us the map. But the gameplay itself is just trying to show us how people are going to play it.